don't call it a pigskin. You can't have a Super Bowl without Nebraska agriculture. Ahead on Grow, we'll explain the connection with this year's game.
With frigid temps, we aren't the only living being to worry about. I'm Sydney Edwards, and I'll have more for you tonight on how some folks are keeping their cattle warm.
Plus, precision agriculture is agriculture. It's time to grow. Welcome to the program. This year's Super Bowl featured two all-time Husker greats, but it wouldn't be a game without Nebraska ranchers. According to the Associated Press, the Super Bowl uses about 120 footballs produced by Wilson Sporting Goods. But you may not know, it's not actually pigskin, it's cowhide. More accurately, steer hide from the Horween Leather Company in Chicago. The hides come from ranches in Iowa, Kansas, and yes, right here in Nebraska. Nebraska's #1 industry, as we know, faces serious economic challenges. Farm income is less than half what it was just 5 years ago. Farmers turning to precision agriculture to help them manage every input.
Tracks hybrids, population.
Sure.
A tractor moves across the screen showing what the planter did in the field. Precision agriculture used to be reserved for a select few.
Focused in those technology geeks, let's call it.
But farmer and geek Jeremy Wilson says you can't buy a piece of equipment that doesn't have technology capturing loads of data, and the value in it is about dollars and cents.
I'm looking for a tool that, you know what, I've got some acres that, can I really justify planting a kernel of corn on it or a soybean on it?
So farmers don't spend more on expensive inputs like seed, fertilizer, and water than they have to.
It's a big deal to allocate the dollars you spend to parts of the field that'll give you the best return on your investment, and that's really what precision ag is all about. Where do you put those dollars to maximize your income?
The industry is creating standards, yet many farmers find themselves with technologies that don't work well together.
One of these days, eventually, it'll be really nice that all this stuff will come together and we'll be able to really use it across a lot of different platforms.
And that's a big challenge, moving data back and forth, and that's where data standards are going to be helpful down the road.
This NETA conference brings together many early adopters. Not only is it about economics, it's also about tracking environmental impact and giving consumers more information.
So they can actually have traceability and a story from seed to their plate.
Farm income in Nebraska is less than half what it was just a few years ago, so farmers use high-tech tools to manage the cost of doing business.
To bring the profitability and the return we need to survive.
And in the midst of the trade war, Nebraska continues to position itself as a world leader in agriculture. State Ag Director Steve Wellman attended the Buffalo-Hall County corn growers meeting this week. He said the state continues to seek out new opportunities while also reassuring longtime trade partners.
We continue to do the work that we have on international marketing, regardless of what's going on in Washington, D.C. I mean, there's long-time relationships that have been built over years. Our customers overseas buying Nebraska products, they understand the quality, they want our products, and so our job is to continue those relationships, grow those relationships that pay off for everybody involved.
Wellman invites folks to the Governor's Ag Conference next month in Kearney. Topics include growing Nebraska agriculture and implementing the Farm Bill. We will hear more from Director Wellman later in the show. Tariffs and trade issues continue to suppress prices. Members of the corn growers say this is an important time to be part of organizations that give a voice to farmers with major issues that affect profitability.
You know, right now it's trade. I think that's on everyone's mind, absolutely. You know, we're at the point where something absolutely just, we need to see something done, some kind of progress from the president's agenda or what he's doing right now.
With record production and the tariffs, a survey by Farm Futures finds growers plan to increase corn acres and cut back on sorghum and soybeans.
Personally, we're trimming our soybean acres probably a third. We used to be about 1/3 soybeans, 2/3 corn. It's definitely going to be no more than a quarter soybeans and 3/4 corn.
The USDA prospective plantings report is due out in about a month. For those of you with family crop operations, what are your planting intentions? When it comes to soybeans, do you plan to plant more soybeans, less soybeans, or about the same? Follow Grow on Twitter to cast your vote. All votes are anonymous. And if it comes from plants or a lab, is it meat? Looking now at results of last week's poll question, by an overwhelming majority, our viewers say no. Plant and lab-based products should not be able to call themselves meat. Results are not scientific, but it does give us an idea of how our audience feels. And the Nebraska Cattlemen Organization will soon be moving into a new headquarters on Cattle Drive. The Lincoln City Council voted this past week to rename a Lincoln Street in order to give the trade association the special address of 4611 Cattle Drive. The building is being built on Discovery Drive, a short street in the Nebraska Technology Park. There already is a cattle drive in the northeast part of Lincoln, but there are only 4 houses that abut that street and none with a cattle drive address. That street would be renamed to Mustang Drive. The group plans to move into the new building in late February. A key House committee learned this week of the challenges Nebraska farmers and ranchers face when it comes to health insurance, as they heard from Nebraska Farm Bureau Administrator Rob Robertson.
I have dedicated my entire life to help farmers and ranchers, and I just honestly couldn't believe what I saw during the summer of 2018. We held listening sessions with our farmers and rancher members, and literally they got up in tears talking about their challenges of how they're coping with the health insurance markets in the individual market.
Next, we talk one-on-one with the state ag director about the governor's ag conference, and later, how the polar vortex affected Nebraska livestock producers.